What if some of the celebrities you watched for years were hiding life-changing secrets from the public eye? Behind the glamour of Hollywood, several famous stars shocked millions when they revealed deeply personal journeys that completely changed the way fans saw them forever. Some faced criticism, heartbreak, and public backlash, while others became symbols of courage, authenticity, and self-acceptance in an industry obsessed with image and unrealistic expectations. In today's video, we're uncovering transgender celebrities you never imagined would be on this list, revealing surprising transformations, emotional personal stories, and the hidden struggles many endured behind fame and success. You'll discover how these revelations affected their careers, relationships, and public image, while also learning why their stories continue to inspire important conversations about identity and acceptance today. Stay until the end, because one celebrity's journey may completely change the way you view fame and personal courage forever. And don't forget to leave a comment telling us which celebrity surprised you the most. You can also tell us how famous you think your favorite star truly is in today's entertainment world. Elliot Page has become one of the defining figures in modern conversations surrounding identity, authenticity, and transgender visibility in Hollywood. For much of his early career, Page lived with a growing disconnect between his inner sense of self and the image the public expected him to maintain. While audiences celebrated his talent in films and television, privately he struggled with an emotional weight that became increasingly difficult to ignore. Acting, once a refuge, gradually turned into another environment where his appearance and identity felt constantly scrutinized. In 2014, Page publicly came out as gay, a deeply personal step that brought temporary relief and greater honesty in his public life. Yet he later explained that this moment did not fully resolve the deeper internal conflict he continued to experience. Over time, the emotional strain reportedly contributed to anxiety, exhaustion, and an ongoing sense of disconnection from his own body despite professional success and worldwide recognition. Everything changed in 2020 when Elliot Page publicly came out as transgender. Rather than presenting it as a dramatic reinvention, Page described the decision as necessary for survival and emotional well-being. By embracing his identity openly, he began reclaiming control over both his body and his voice after years of quiet struggle. He has since spoken candidly about gender dysphoria, the relief brought by medical transition, and the clarity he experienced afterward. Today, Elliot Page's journey represents more than personal transformation. His openness has helped broaden public understanding of transgender experiences in mainstream entertainment, while showing the courage it can take to pursue authenticity later in life, even after a successful career and public identity have already been firmly established. Hunter Schafer has emerged as one of the defining Gen Z voices at the intersection of gender identity, fashion, and modern storytelling. Long before becoming famous, Schafer understood that the expectations placed on her did not fully reflect who she was internally. Growing up in North Carolina, she experienced discomfort with traditional gender roles from an early age and turned to fashion illustration, visual art, and creative expression as ways to better understand herself when words alone felt insufficient. As a teenager, Hunter began her transition while still in high school, a deeply personal journey that required both courage and resilience. Navigating that process publicly at such a formative age helped shape her strong sense of independence and creative control. Those experiences would later influence not only her identity, but also the way she approached art, storytelling, and representation in mainstream culture. Her breakthrough role as Jules Vaughn in Euphoria introduced millions of viewers to a more emotionally layered and human portrayal of a transgender character. Although Schafer has repeatedly explained that she is not the same person as Jules, the performance carried emotional truths drawn from lived experience. Many audiences saw the role as an important step toward more nuanced transgender representation on television. Outside of acting, Schafer built a successful presence in the fashion world, while continuing to advocate for transgender rights and creative freedom. In recent years, she has expanded into writing and developing original projects, using her platform thoughtfully rather than simply chasing celebrity status. Schafer's journey reflects a broader cultural shift. Her influence comes not from controversy or spectacle, but from demonstrating how authenticity, creativity, and self-determination can quietly reshape modern culture and representation. Chaz Bono grew up under an extraordinary level of public attention, long before fully understanding his own identity. As the child of entertainment icons Cher and Sonny Bono, nearly every stage of his life unfolded in front of cameras, interviews, and public expectations. Beneath that visibility, however, existed a quiet but persistent disconnect between the identity assigned to him and how he truly felt internally. For many years, those feelings remained deeply private while he navigated the pressure of growing up in one of America's most famous families. As he got older, Bono began a long process of self-reflection, therapy, and emotional honesty. Eventually, he realized that living as a woman no longer reflected his authentic self. Near the age of 40, he publicly began his transition, starting hormone therapy in 2009 and later undergoing gender-affirming procedures. Rather than being about reinvention, the process was described as a path toward internal peace and personal alignment. Transitioning publicly brought additional challenges, especially as his journey unfolded alongside his relationship with his mother. At first, Cher openly struggled to understand the changes, but over time her confusion evolved into support and acceptance. For many families watching from afar, their relationship became a rare public example of patience, growth, and unconditional love. Following his transition, Chaz Bono found a greater sense of stability and confidence. He continued working in television, film, and advocacy, while becoming one of the first openly transgender men widely recognized in mainstream American media. His story reminds audiences that self-discovery has no deadline and that personal authenticity often requires tremendous courage, especially under public scrutiny. Andreja Pejić quietly became one of the most groundbreaking figures in modern fashion by challenging traditional ideas about gender long before the industry was fully prepared for that conversation. Before publicly transitioning, Pejić gained international recognition for an androgynous appearance that allowed her to model both menswear and womenswear with remarkable ease. At a time when fashion still relied heavily on strict gender divisions, her presence alone questioned long-standing assumptions without needing controversy or shock value. Born in Bosnia during the Balkan conflict, Andreja spent part of her early childhood fleeing instability before eventually settling in Australia with her family. Those difficult beginnings shaped her resilience long before fame arrived. Behind the success, however, she carried a deeply personal understanding of her identity that dated back to childhood. While the fashion world celebrated her unique image, living publicly without full internal alignment remained emotionally difficult over time. In 2014, Pejić publicly came out as a transgender woman and underwent gender-affirming surgery. Rather than describing the decision as a dramatic reinvention, she explained it as bringing her outward life into harmony with who she had always been internally. Some industry observers predicted her career would suffer after transitioning, but the opposite happened. She continued working with major designers and magazines worldwide, and later became the first openly transgender woman featured on the cover of GQ Portugal. Beyond modeling, Andreja has spoken openly about media scrutiny, body autonomy, and the pressure transgender individuals often face to justify their existence publicly. Her influence now reaches far beyond fashion itself. Through advocacy and visibility, she has encouraged a more thoughtful conversation about authenticity, identity, and acceptance in modern culture. Geena Rocero has become one of the most influential transgender voices on the global stage, but her understanding of who she was began long before fame or activism. By the age of 5, Rocero had already told her mother that she was a girl, a moment met not with rejection, but with quiet acceptance. Growing up in the Philippines, that support gave her a strong sense of self during a time when the outside world was often far less understanding. As a teenager, Rocero began medically transitioning, taking careful steps to align her physical appearance with the identity she had always known internally. By early adulthood, she had developed a sense of emotional stability that would later help her navigate public life. After moving to the United States, she unexpectedly found success in the fashion industry, building a modeling career and appearing in major campaigns while keeping her transgender history private. At the time, that decision was less about secrecy and more about survival within an industry that offered little protection or understanding for transgender women. Everything changed in 2014 when Rocero stepped onto the TED stage and publicly shared her story for the first time. The moment was deeply personal, but its impact extended far beyond her own life. She soon expanded her work into activism, focusing on transgender visibility, media representation, and policy advocacy. Today, Geena Rocero is recognized not only as a model, but also as a thoughtful advocate for authenticity and self-determination. Her journey demonstrates that coming out is rarely a single moment. Instead, it is an ongoing process shaped by courage, timing, and the decision to live truthfully on one's own terms. Carmen Carrera first entered public attention through RuPaul's Drag Race, where her elegance, beauty, and stage presence immediately stood out. At the time, audiences primarily knew her as a drag performer within a format that often treated gender as entertainment rather than personal reality. Yet behind the performances was a deeper truth about her identity that had not yet been fully shared with the world. After the show, Carrera made a life-changing decision by publicly transitioning and embracing her identity as a transgender woman. The response was mixed. Some viewers and industry figures struggled to separate her past drag persona from her real-life identity, often placing assumptions on her that she openly challenged. Rather than softening her message for acceptance, Carrera chose clarity and self-respect. She consistently emphasized that transgender women should be recognized as women, not simply viewed through the lens of performance or entertainment. Publicly transitioning also brought professional uncertainty, especially during a time when transgender representation in mainstream media remained limited. Still, Carrera continued building a successful modeling career, appearing in international campaigns, walking major runways, and becoming one of the first openly transgender models associated with major fashion agencies. Her success helped signal a gradual shift in how the industry viewed transgender talent and visibility. In recent years, Carmen Carrera has expanded into television, advocacy, and mentorship, supporting younger LGBTQ+ voices entering entertainment and fashion. Her story is not simply about reality television or transition. It is about persistence, self-definition, and the determination to live authentically despite public misunderstanding. Carmen Carrera's journey demonstrates that recognition often comes slowly, but it carries far greater meaning when achieved without compromising one's truth. The stories of these celebrities reveal something far deeper than fame, headlines, or public transformation. Behind every transition was a human being searching for peace, identity, and the freedom to live honestly. Some faced misunderstanding, criticism, or career risks, yet they continued moving forward because authenticity mattered more than public approval. Their journeys remind us that identity is rarely simple, and that true courage often happens quietly, through personal choices made away from cameras and applause. At the same time, these stories also teach the importance of empathy. It is easy for society to judge what it does not fully understand, especially when someone's life challenges long-standing expectations about gender and identity. But respect begins with listening rather than assuming. Whether someone agrees or disagrees, every person deserves dignity and the opportunity to define themselves on their own terms. In the end, the most powerful transformation is not physical. It is the courage to live truthfully in a world that often rewards conformity over authenticity. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.